Guys, I'm happy to welcome you back to the 45th Chess Olympiad being held in Budapest right now. Yesterday we had round number 6, today's Thursday, and it's time to look into some of the games that happened yesterday, the crucial games. And we will start the look by looking at game played between Hungary and India. In the match between Hungary and India, Sanan Sugirov, the Russian-born Grandmaster, was playing against Arjun Erigaisi, who how Hikaru is saying murdering people on board 3. So let's see what happened in this game. E4, Arjun plays very solid chess, and so far he won all 5 games he played in this tournament. We have Rai Lopez on the board, and generally, you look at this position, people play Rai Lopez or they play generally E5 because they want to be solid, they don't want to risk anything. And Arjun is right now world number 4, guys, and he might be hitting this 2800 club this Olympiad if he continues on the same pace. Bishop g7, h3, basically blocking the square from knight, from bishop. Now castle, knight bd2, takes, c takes d4, knight b4, offering a bishop trade. And now takes, queen d7, queen b3, and a5 controlling this knight on b4. a3, knight c6, and now if white decide to take this pawn on b7, rook fb8, this queen will be trapped. So of course Sanan is playing d5 first, knight b8, and now queen b7 is possible, knight a6, knight is going to c5, hitting the queen on b7, queen gotta go back, and now knight c5. So let's say so long, man. So let's say somewhere here white do nothing and play something like slow, I don't even know any slow move like king h2, there is knight c5, and let's say queen c6 is the only move, and there is takes, rook f8, and this pawn on e4 is being hit and it's very hard to protect it. So queen b3, knight c5, e4 pawn is a weakness, and potentially if you are able to fix this pawn structure on queen side, that would be awesome. Queen a4, e5, takes, and now d takes e5, knight d5, knight d5, taking the pawn back, and now Arjun has no problems, and the game was slowly going to its end. Many people thought that, alright, I was looking at this live and I was like, alright, probably draw. And Team India looked very solid in other games as well. Knight d7, rook e8, knight d6, takes on b2, takes, and yeah, there is a potential weakness on a3, but other than that, yeah, knight on b6 is out of place somehow, and of course, rook d2, if rook goes here, rook d1, and bishop f5, bishop d4, hitting the pawn on f2, so there are some tricks for black, which white might get into, and it will be very unpleasant. Rook d1, in h2, and now bishop d4, the thing I was talking about, so hitting this knight and hitting this pawn on f2. Knight c4, a4, g3, bishop c5, rook c2, rook d4, king g2, king f8, rook c3, king e7, knight d5, rook d5. So here, of course, white have some knight c6 check, but they don't really work. They have knight d3, bishop b6, king f3, rook b5, and this rook is going to b3, and then potentially creating pass pawn. This pawn on a3 is a potential weakness still. This knight is not moving anywhere. Yeah, there are maneuvers, knight f4 and d4, but I don't think that it's gonna work. So king e2, rook b3, knight b4, first mistake. And this mistake is slowly making black very happy as they gain some advantage. So here after rook b3, so computer says rook c6 is apparently a better move, and then bishop d8, but again very passive, knight b4 and hitting still, yeah, it looks kind of passive for black, but in reality, I mean, this bishop at some point will go and it will be activated, maybe for c7 to d6. Yeah, and the game was probably gonna end in a draw. There is this, but still, keeping an eye on this pawn, not too many troubles. But that didn't happen. As knight b4, you might say, oh, but he's just giving me a free rook, right? No, in reality, if rook c3 is being played knight d5 and here, white will actually make an easy draw. So that didn't happen. King d7, rook d3, takes, and now king c6. So as I said, huge weakness on a3. We are getting into this bishop versus knight endgame, and here it's not a close position, it's an open position where this bishop has advantage over this knight on d3. King d2, bishop d4, kinda restricting king, bishop g7, bishop f6, king c4, and slowly Arjun was outplaying his opponent. And here you might say, what is g4? The problem is white are in complete zugzwang. If they play king d2, there will be king b3 and pawn on a3 will be taken. And if try something like f4, let's say after h5 some f4, I mean still some king d5, maybe bishop e7, hitting this on a3, you might say, oh, pawn, but guys, that won't work. This pawn is much more powerful. This king will get to g3, take all the king side and win the game. So very soon Arjun took the pawn and now the position slowly collapsed. This knight is not getting away. Bishop g5, knight f5 takes, king d5, brilliant move. I would say it's brilliant move, because if king f5, it's actually a draw, because king is able to come to this square and take the pawn, and it would have been a draw. And now after king d5, you know, you don't let this king get to a4 pawn. This bishop is the same color of this a1 square. Black will eventually take the pawn, promote this pawn to a queen, and win the game. Team India won the match with 3-1 score. They are the sole leaders, as on the first board China made the draw versus Vietnam, and this is the match we're gonna jump to right now. Team Vietnam is probably a huge surprise to many of you. You're probably wondering who are the strong players there, but I mean, Lek Wan Lem is legend. I mean, and he is probably the name you might know. And there's also Tuan Minh Le, who is one of the strongest blitz players on chess.com. And this makes probably half of the team, and there are other 2-3 very strong players who are capable of doing things that, you know, we could never imagine before the Olympiad started. But yesterday China was playing Vietnam on board 1, very crucial matchup here. Lek Wan Lem played Din Leren with black pieces. So Din made all the draws so far, he hasn't lost a single game, you know, he's playing very solid. I mean, I saw his interview, he was feeling very confident about his game. And yesterday, again, white pieces against Lek Wan Lem, who is actually higher rated than Din. Din is almost out of top 20, and he's going to compete to defend his title in November. So let's see what happened in this game. Bishop e4, c4, d3, c8, basically controlling c4 square. Rook b1, protecting b2 pawn. You know, now bishop is ready to get away from here. Maybe some b4 pushes at some point, not here of course, because he takes b3, but maybe this, and then b4 pushes. Queen d7, hitting the pawn on a4 and potentially keeping an eye on h3 square. D takes c4, and now we got to the following endgame where Din had two bishops. World champion has two bishops. Yeah, he has half of the Lek Wan Lem's time, but still, you know, it should be enough for the world champion. So Lek Wan Lem took the pawn on a4, knight g4, knight b3, rook d1. At this point, computer likes Din's position a lot and gives it like 0.6 advantage to white pieces. Knight e5, trying to trade, take, and now bishop g5, hitting the pawn on e7. And at this point, you know, it looks like the game is probably gonna end somewhat in a draw. And it was going towards a draw till the very end. Bishop d6, rook a1, rook b2, g5, and you might wonder what happened here. How exactly could this game finish in other results than a draw? And you see the score, it's 2-2 to Team China, to Team Vietnam. At this point it was 2-1 to Team China. Takes, She takes f4, king g6, now king walks to f5 and trying to take on f4. Yeah, Dean has worse pawn structure, his pawn is being attacked on h6, these two pawns are very, very awful. Rook g8, king h6, f5, king h5, rook g7, basically trying to take on h7, rook b5, rook h7, king g4, king g2. I mean, this pawn is gonna be taken, and now king takes f5, but it's still, you know, very, very equal. Even though white turned down a pawn, they still can, you know, play and make a draw. Now look, bishop c5. The idea of bishop c5 is very simple. Dean wants to play rook endgame, which probably gonna end in a draw. So rook b7 was played, takes, and still, even this rook endgame is still a draw. King a6, rook e8, rook e7, and now rook a8. Now pawn is getting pushed, king f3, king f5, rook a1, rook e6. Again mistake. Now rook e1 check is for some reason making a draw, while move that Dean made, rook a4, is actually terrible. Rook b6, king a2, and now d4, f3, f5, rook a5, king f4, rook d5. And after rook b2, king a1, rook h2. So you might wonder why here don't take, cause king f3 and checkmate is coming next move, so gotta play here first, and now black take this pawn on f3, and the position is completely lost. King f3, rook e5, king d2, and now this king is able to basically help this pawn promote. This king is out of place, this rook will eventually help building the breach or something, and rook a5, rook h1, this, d3. Now you might say, what if check? Very simple, this, check, king b3, and then d2, d1, what if stop? Then there is king c3, and now we actually achieve progress by finally pushing this pawn, and after rook a3, king b2, this pawn is unstoppable, and we promote a pawn and win the game. So rook a8, rook h7, rook e2, king c3, rook a3, king c2, this, king b3, and after rook e7, restricting this king, basically, let's say check, king d2, one move, there is king d1, one move, d2, and you might say what's going to happen, just then there is rook e2, and if this rook e1, rook e7, and the idea is very simple. If this, there is just rook f7, king f3, king e1, and black promote the pawn and win the game. So after rook e7, Dean admitted his loss, and Team Vietnam tied the match and finished it with 2-2 score. And let's get to the final match of this video. It wasn't like, you know, a big match, but just very cool game I would like to show you. Let's go. Final game of this video was played in the match between Poland and Austria, and I decided to show you this game specifically because it had a very, very interesting end. So young Krzysztof Duda was playing against lower rated Valentin Dragnev, and they got us very, very exciting game. So we got the Nimzo Indian defense on the board. So from early on, you know, young Krzysztof took the advantage, but, you know, it never, you know, you should never relax. And, you know, you should always look for all the attacks that might come. So queen h4, Valentin is trying to play active, obviously. This bishop is terrible on b7, this knight is not in the game yet. And, you know, white have very dangerous pawn structure with d5, c4. Bishop b2, and of course white have very dangerous bishops, which potentially can be activated and attack black's king. Rook e7, queen d2, rook e8, rook f2, knight f5, hitting the pawn on c4, maybe trying to reroute knight to f4, queen c3, f6, not blundering any checkmates, bishop f1, knight g6, a5, knight f4, and now what if g3 happens? There is knight h3, and if what king g2, you know, continue, simple, queen h5, still hitting the rook, and actually black are in full control of the game. So g3 is a terrible move, but white played queen d2, bishop c8, takes, rook a8, bishop d7, trading one pair of rook, bishop c1 hitting the knight, knight goes back, now rook e1, and after bishop d2, already here white have a very, very big advantage. Jan Krzysztof plays the past f4 move, queen g4, queen g6, now knight h4, and at this point white's position is plus 5.6. So it just means you got like 5 extra pawns. Completely winning position. So, and here Jan plays past move, queen d8, king f7, and now h3. And here black play rook f1. You saw, I told you how the game ends. So rook f1, what white did here, instead of going for king f1, which is actually winning, because now queen d1, bishop e1, and if bishop h3, which computer says, I mean, absolutely insane move, because bishop f5, let's say here, just rook d2, and this pawn is moving. If bishop d3, just king f2, and I mean, black are just losing material. They already lost material, now they will lose even more. So the didn't happen is here, Jan Krzysztof Duda decided to go for king h2, and now you pause the video and solve this freaking problem, because it has a very exciting solution for you. So king h2, and that's where I'm telling you, always look for captures and attacks, because at this point he was thinking, right, queen is attacked, queen gotta go back, and if let's say some queen d1, there is simple queen d7, white win the game. If queen goes somewhere, rook f1, simple takes, and again white win the game. So there are not a lot of options, but boom, queen h3. The idea is that after g takes h3, which is the only move, rook f2, king g3, and now rook f3, and white simply can't take this knight on h4, because this is gonna result in checkmate. And what happens after king h2, rook f2, king g1? There is rook g2, king f1, and bishop h3, and black are actually winning the game, because let's say queen c7, there is king g6, and eventually white can't do anything. They're being cooked by this rook, knight, and bishop. So eventually just this, and white just collapsed. So this match, this game finished in draw, the match overall finished in draw, and let's get to the standings after round 6. We have a rest day, finally. Let's go, guys, let me show you the table. So as you can see, Team India is the first after 6 rounds. Team Vietnam, China, and Iran are tied for the second, and we got ourselves the most exciting match, India versus China, in round number 7, which will be spectated by many people, as this once again a repetition of World Chess Championship, which will happen in Singapore later this year. We get a lot of teams with 10 points, starting from Uzbekistan and ending with Team Netherlands. So the tournament is not over, but yeah, as many experts predicted, Team India is looking very powerful with their very young Erigazi, Kukash, Prak, and some kind of, veteran Vidyet. They're looking very strong. So they're the biggest favorite right now, I would say, and they're the favorite versus China as well. So let's see how it goes. I'll see you in tomorrow's video, where I'll analyze the quickest games from this Chess Olympiad. I hope you enjoyed this. Please make sure to subscribe and like this video. They really help me, they really motivate me. I'll see you in next videos. Bye bye.